Pleasure is often mistaken as something that exists outside of us, something to be found through objects, experiences, or even other people. But if you look carefully, you will see that the true essence of pleasure begins not in the external, but in the internal. It starts with awareness. Without awareness, even the most delightful experience can pass by unnoticed, like a soft breeze that touches your skin but is gone before you even realize it was there. To live fully, to truly taste the richness of life, one must learn how to anchor attention in the present moment, because presence is the soil in which pleasure can grow. When the mind is restless, constantly wandering between memories of the past and worries about the future, it dulls the sensitivity of the body. You may eat your favorite food but barely remember its taste because the mind was occupied elsewhere. You may sit with someone you love yet miss the depth of connection because you were lost in thought. This is the danger of unconscious living. It robs you of the very essence you are searching for. Awareness, then, is the key that unlocks a new dimension of experiencing. It transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary ones simply because you are there to fully witness them. Imagine holding a warm cup of tea in your hands. If your mind is elsewhere, it is nothing more than a routine act, a mechanical motion of drinking. But if you bring awareness, you begin to notice the warmth seeping into your palms, the subtle fragrance rising with the steam, the way the liquid touches your lips and rolls across your tongue. Suddenly, what was once ordinary becomes rich, layered, and alive. The pleasure was always there, but only awareness revealed it. In the same way, every aspect of life carries hidden treasures waiting to be discovered by those who are present enough to notice. This presence is not something you need to chase. It is not a skill to acquire in the same way you learn a craft. It is more like remembering something that has always been with you but was forgotten amidst the noise of daily living. It requires a gentle shift, a choice to pause, to breathe, and to simply be with what is happening right now. Awareness is not heavy, it is not forced, it is light, effortless, and deeply natural. It invites you to return to your own senses, to step out of the storm of thoughts, and to root yourself in the direct experience of the moment. The deeper your awareness grows, the more you realize that pleasure is not limited to certain situations. It does not need grand gestures or rare events. It can be found in the simplest things: the sound of rain, the softness of fabric against your skin, the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Life, in its purest form, is overflowing with sensations, but without awareness, it is like holding a treasure chest without ever opening it. By cultivating awareness, you open that chest and begin to discover the abundance that was always within reach. When you live with awareness, pleasure is no longer dependent on external conditions. It becomes a state of being rather than a fleeting experience. Even in silence, even in stillness, you can touch joy. This is why awareness is not just the beginning of pleasure, but also its sustenance. It teaches you to shift from seeking outside to discovering inside, from chasing moments to creating them, from waiting for happiness to realizing it is already here. In the end, the greatest hack any woman can know is that she does not need to search endlessly for pleasure. She only needs to awaken her awareness. For once she does, everything she touches, sees, hears, and feels becomes alive, and the simplest breath can become the most profound source of joy. Breath is the most intimate companion you carry from the moment you are born until the very last instant of your life. Yet it is often overlooked. You cannot survive without it, and still, most people breathe without ever truly noticing it. What many do not realize is that breath is not just a mechanical act of keeping the body alive, it is the bridge that connects the body and the mind. When you learn to recognize it, to deepen it, and to move with it consciously, you discover that it is also the doorway to pleasure, to calm, and to vitality. Most of the time, stress, anxiety, or overthinking cause the breath to become shallow and restricted. This type of breathing locks the body into tension and makes the mind restless. When the breath is hurried, life itself feels hurried, And when the breath is tight, the body loses its softness. Without softness, there is no space for pleasure to arise. The body becomes like a clenched fist, unable to receive what is already present. But the moment you allow your breath to slow down, something remarkable begins to happen. The shoulders drop, the jaw releases, the heartbeat steadies, and the mind grows clearer. Through this simple act of breathing consciously, a woman begins to reconnect with her inner rhythm, awakening sensitivity that was always there but buried beneath layers of tension. Pleasure is not something that can be forced. It blossoms when the body is open and relaxed. Deep breathing is the tool that creates that openness. It allows energy to circulate, releasing what is stagnant and awakening what is dormant. If you take a slow breath in and then release it fully, you will notice a wave moving through your body like water washing over the shore. That wave is more than oxygen filling your lungs. It is life reminding you of its presence. When you align yourself with it, you allow both mind and body to meet in harmony, and harmony is the ground where true pleasure grows. Think of how easily children laugh and find joy in simple things. One reason is that their breathing is natural and unforced, flowing freely through the belly. As adults, stress and self-consciousness interrupt this flow, creating blocks in both body and mind. By returning to the breath, by letting it drop deep into the belly and expand fully, you begin to undo those blocks. Slowly, sensations feel richer, emotions soften, and a natural warmth spreads throughout the body. It is in this state that the simplest touch, the softest sound, or the faintest fragrance can feel deeply pleasurable. Breath also teaches presence. You cannot breathe in the past, nor can you breathe in the future. Breath happens now, and each inhale and exhale brings you back to this moment. When you are truly with your breath, you are truly with yourself. In that presence, you no longer chase after pleasure. It comes to you naturally because you are fully here to receive it. The mind is not scattered. The body is not tense, and awareness is sharpened. What follows is a sense of connection, not only with yourself, but with the world around you. This is why the breath is not just air moving in and out. It is the thread weaving body and mind together into one fabric. When this connection is alive, you begin to feel more alive. You realize that the breath is not ordinary at all. It is sacred. It carries with it the ability to relax you, to awaken you, and to bring you into deeper harmony. And within that harmony, pleasure reveals itself effortlessly. The hack, then, is not to complicate the search, but to return to simplicity. By breathing with awareness, by letting each inhale fill you and each exhale empty you, you discover a natural rhythm that nourishes every part of your being. Pleasure in its truest form arises from that rhythm. It does not need to be manufactured. It only needs to be allowed. The breath is the guide, the bridge, and the key. Where the mind goes, energy follows. This is a truth that has echoed through countless traditions and teachings, yet most people forget it in the rush of daily living. Whatever you choose to focus on grows stronger in your experience, whether it is joy or fear, gratitude or complaint. Attention is like sunlight. If you direct it toward a seed, it will grow. If you neglect it, the seed will remain dormant. In the same way, the quality of your life and the depth of your pleasure depend less on what is happening outside of you and more on where you are placing your focus. So often, people carry attention like a burden rather than a gift. They spend hours replaying past mistakes or imagining future problems, and in doing so, they drain their energy without even realizing it. This scattered focus leaves little room for presence, and without presence, even the most beautiful experiences remain dull. Imagine sitting before a delicious meal while your thoughts wander to yesterday's worries or tomorrow's tasks. You will eat, but you will not taste. The meal becomes background noise because your attention has been stolen. Yet, the moment you bring your mind back to what is in front of you, suddenly flavors awaken, textures come alive, and the simple act of eating transforms into a source of joy. This principle applies to every part of life. When you fix your attention on judgment, fear, or dissatisfaction, you strengthen those feelings until they consume you. But when you redirect that same attention toward gratitude, sensation, and the richness of the present, you nourish those qualities and they begin to flourish. Pleasure is not so much about adding something new into your life, but about shifting the light of attention toward what is already there. The body holds countless sensations every moment, but only the ones you notice become meaningful. There is power in consciously choosing where to place your awareness. For example, when you are in conversation with someone, you can let your mind drift, or you can focus deeply on their words, their tone, and their presence. One choice leaves you disconnected, the other allows you to feel intimacy and warmth. When you walk, you can let your thoughts drown out the rhythm of your steps, or you can focus on the contact of your feet with the ground, the air brushing against your skin, and the movement of your breath. Suddenly, walking itself becomes a source of pleasure. The difference is not in the act, but in the focus. It is also important to realize that attention is not endless. Wherever you direct it, you are feeding energy into that space. If you continuously feed worry, you weaken your capacity for joy. If you constantly nurture comparison, you starve your ability to feel content. But if you choose to give your attention to the subtle gifts of the present, the warmth of sunlight, the comfort of stillness, the softness of your own breath, you naturally begin to feel nourished, fulfilled, and alive. Energy flows where attention goes. This means that pleasure is not about chasing bigger, louder, or more dramatic experiences. It is about learning to focus on the subtleties you often overlook. When you truly pay attention, even the smallest touch can feel profound. Even silence can feel beautiful. The hack is not to do more, but to notice more. By training your attention to return again and again to the richness of the present, you transform ordinary life into extraordinary experience. And so, the key is simple: where you place your focus, there your energy will grow. If you choose to nurture the present with awareness and gratitude, pleasure will not need to be searched for. It will blossom naturally in every corner of your life because your attention itself has become the source of joy. So much of life is lived in tension without realizing it. The body holds on, shoulders raised, jaw clenched, stomach tight, and over time this becomes the normal state of being. Yet tension is like a locked door, and behind that door is the softness where real pleasure lives. No matter how much you seek joy or fulfillment, if the body is holding too tightly, it cannot receive. The simple truth is that pleasure does not arrive when you force it. It comes when you create space for it, and that space is born through release. To let go is not weakness. It is not giving up control. It is the wisdom of recognizing that control is often the very thing that prevents life from flowing. The more you try to chase, to push, to grasp, the further away true fulfillment moves. But when you soften, when you release the unnecessary tightness in the body and the unnecessary weight in the mind, you open the door for something deeper to enter. In that openness, pleasure is not something you pursue, it is something that naturally arises. Think of water. When it flows freely, it nourishes everything in its path. But if it is blocked, pressure builds and movement stops. In the same way, tension blocks the natural flow of energy through the body. By releasing that tension, you allow energy to move again, bringing vitality, sensitivity, and warmth. This is why relaxation is not a luxury, it is essential. Without it, the senses remain dulled. With it, every sensation becomes richer, every moment more alive. There is a deep connection between softness and receptivity. A flower cannot bloom if it stays closed. The same is true for the human body and heart. When you soften your muscles, when you exhale fully, when you release the grip of overthinking, you become receptive. Receptive to the touch of life, receptive to connection, receptive to the subtle joys that are always surrounding you. It is in this state of openness that pleasure finds its home because there is space for it to land. Many people believe pleasure is about intensity, about stronger experiences, louder sensations, or grander gestures. but often the deepest joy comes from the simplest moments felt fully in softness. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the embrace of someone you love, the comfort of your own breath, all of these are heightened when the body is relaxed. If you are rigid, you will miss them. If you are soft, you will receive them completely. Letting go also means releasing inner resistance. Sometimes the greatest barrier to pleasure is not the outer world, but the silent dialogue inside. Worries, self-judgments, expectations. These inner tensions mirror the physical ones, keeping you closed and distracted. By practicing release, through breath, through awareness, through simply choosing not to hold on so tightly, you dissolve those barriers. In that surrender, a deeper harmony emerges, and with harmony comes ease. And with ease, pleasure naturally grows. So the real hack is not to strive harder, but to soften more. Relaxation is not passive. It is an active choice to trust, to open, to allow. When you release tension, the body feels lighter, the mind feels clearer, and the heart feels freer. In this freedom, pleasure is not something rare or elusive. It becomes an everyday experience woven into the simplest acts of living. In the end, the path to deeper joy is not about holding on, but about letting go. It is in softness that you discover strength, in release that you find abundance, and in openness that you finally receive the pleasure that was waiting for you all along. When the body moves in one direction, the mind in another, and the heart in yet another, there is conflict. This inner fragmentation is one of the greatest reasons people feel disconnected from joy. True pleasure does not come from a single part of you. It comes from harmony. When the mind, body, and heart are aligned, every experience becomes richer, and even the smallest moments carry depth. It is like listening to music. If each instrument plays on its own without listening to the others, there is only noise. But when they are in tune, the sound becomes beautiful, complete, and moving. In the same way, your life becomes harmonious when all aspects of yourself move together. The mind is often restless, caught in thought. It judges, analyzes, and questions. The body, however, longs for sensation, for rhythm, for presence. The heart seeks connection, meaning, and love. When these three move separately, they create dissonance. You may find yourself in a beautiful place but unable to enjoy it because your mind is busy elsewhere. Or you may be in someone's embrace yet feel distant because your heart is guarded. This is what happens when alignment is lost. Pleasure is present, but you cannot fully taste it because one part of you is missing from the experience. To return to harmony is to invite the mind, body, and heart into the same moment. The breath is a powerful tool for this. When you breathe deeply and consciously, the body begins to relax, the mind starts to quiet, and the heart opens. In this state, the three are not fighting each other but flowing together. Sensation is felt clearly, thoughts move gently, emotions find balance. This integration transforms even the simplest act into something fulfilling. Drinking water becomes soothing, walking becomes grounding, and touch becomes deeply nourishing. Pleasure becomes most profound when it carries both presence and meaning. The body alone may feel a sensation, but without the heart it remains shallow. The heart may long for connection, but without the body's awareness, it cannot manifest. The mind may understand beauty, but without the heart's warmth and the body's openness, it cannot be lived. Each part relies on the other, and when they unite, the experience deepens beyond measure. It is important to recognize that harmony is not perfection. It is not about controlling every thought, every movement, or every feeling. It is about alignment, about guiding them into the same space. When your thoughts support your feelings and your body reflects both, there is ease. In that ease, life feels more complete. This is why moments of true pleasure often feel timeless. You are no longer split between past and future, between thought and sensation. You are whole. Imagine walking through a garden. If your body is there, but your mind is lost in plans, you see little. If your heart is heavy, the colors appear dull. But when the body feels the ground beneath your feet, the mind observes the beauty around you, and the heart receives it with gratitude. The garden becomes alive. This is the difference harmony makes. It does not change the outer world, but it transforms the way you experience it. Harmony also brings stability. When you are aligned within, you are less shaken by what happens outside. The world may be noisy, but your inner music remains steady. In this steadiness, pleasure becomes sustainable, not just a fleeting spark. It grows deeper, more lasting, because it is rooted in balance rather than dependent on circumstances. To live in harmony is to live fully. It is the state where the body feels, the heart connects, and the mind understands all at once. In that union, you discover that pleasure does not need to be sought. It arises naturally as the reflection of your wholeness, and in every breath, every step, every touch, life itself becomes a source of joy. We often believe that pleasure is found in what is grand, in what is new, or in what is rare. The search is directed outward, toward experiences that appear bigger, brighter, or more exciting. But this chase often leaves people exhausted because the more complex life becomes, the further they move from the essence of joy. The real secret is much simpler. Pleasure is rooted in simplicity. It is not about adding layers, but about peeling them away until what remains is pure and effortless. Think about how the mind works when it becomes overloaded with choices, tasks, and distractions. The noise grows louder, and the sensitivity to small details fades. You might sit in a beautiful place, yet the beauty is lost because your mind is cluttered. You might share a moment with someone, yet the connection feels distant because you are pulled in many directions at once. Complexity blurs awareness. But when life is simplified, when distractions fall away, the subtle joys that were always present rise to the surface. Simplicity is not emptiness, it is clarity. It is learning to see again what has always been there. The softness of your own breath, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the warmth of sunlight touching your skin. These are not extraordinary events, yet they hold profound beauty when you truly notice them. The more you return to simplicity, the more these small things become enough. And in that enoughness, a deep contentment is born, one that no external achievement can replace. Pleasure is not about chasing more, but about appreciating what already exists. When you taste food with awareness, the flavor is full. When you listen to someone with presence, the connection is deep. When you walk without rushing, the ground beneath you feels alive. None of these require complexity or grand effort. They require simplicity, the choice to be with what is here and let it be enough. Simplicity also frees you from expectation. When you expect too much from life, disappointment is never far away. But when you simplify, you begin to receive life as it is, without demanding it to be more. A gentle breeze becomes delightful, a quiet evening becomes peaceful, a moment of silence becomes nourishing. The absence of expectation creates space for wonder, and in that space, pleasure blooms effortlessly. There is a quiet strength in those who embrace simplicity. They are not dependent on constant stimulation to feel alive. They do not need the extraordinary to touch joy. Instead, they find richness in the ordinary, and that makes life abundant. This is the ultimate hack. Pleasure that is sustainable, available in every moment, not something that appears only when conditions are perfect. It is easy to overlook simplicity because it feels too small, too plain. But in reality, simplicity is the foundation of all true depth. A tree grows tall only because its roots reach deep into simple soil. In the same way, your capacity for pleasure grows as you root yourself in the simple, natural flow of life. The more you simplify, the more you receive. So the invitation is not to complicate, not to chase, not to endlessly seek. The invitation is to return to breath, to return to awareness, to return to the simplicity of being alive. In that return, you will find that pleasure was never missing. It was simply hidden beneath layers of noise. Remove the noise and life itself becomes the most beautiful experience you could ever receive.